I'll just start off with introductions. My name is Jason.
My name is Thien. I'm from Central.
Okay. I will now conduct an interview about gun violence. I will ask you about your opinion on gun violence, the Second Amendment, and ask if you have any personal incidents. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. My first question is, what do you think gun violence is?
I think gun violence is any violent act committed with a gun or firearm.
I see. You said that gun violence is any violent act committed with a gun or firearm, right?
Yep.
Um, what is your take on self-defense with guns? Then, do you feel as though that is also a form of gun violence, or do you feel like it is justifiable? An example would be a store owner owning a gun and using it to defend against robbers and things of that nature.
Good question. I'm gonna re-clarify to what I said about gun violence. So I think gun violence is still any violent act committed with a gun, with the exception of defending yourself, or other people with a gun. So in the case of a store owner owning a gun to defend himself, I think it is a justifiable thing because you have to protect your own life before other people. And in this case, if a robber is having a gun and threatening the store owner has full rights to use the same amount of arm, which in this case is a gun, to defend himself.
Okay. Um, do you feel as though gang violence is a form of gun violence or not? Because gang vi- your gangs also do defend themselves with using guns, but
Uh,
many people see that as gun violence.
let's say with gun violence, I think it has to be physical violence for it to actually be a serious concern, especially for guns, which pose a real physical um, threat. So for games violence, yes, it does promote the idea of gun violence, but at the end of the day, it's merely just a game. So I don't think it's an issue in this current time. And I feel like in this current time, we should be talking about how gun is really harming people physically rather than like digitally via a game.
Uh, I think you misunderstood my question.
Hmm.
Um, you know how in neighborhoods, like sometimes neighborhoods are separated into like different gangs.
Oh, gangs. Okay, yeah.
Yes. What is your take on that and gun violence? Is that an example of gun violence, or is it just like an example of self defense?
For gangs, I would say I think this stems from other problems that rooted from that. I think it's just about maybe neighborhoods being divided through redlining or through um, low funding that causes people to have no other source of like people to be around with, and this could cause people to feel like they're the only one in the world, and they have to form gangs to feel like they have meaning. So with gangs, this comes with people being too young typically and does things to please others, and gang gang shootings is the unfortunate side effect of this. So I don't think it is still an issue relating with gun violence, but I feel like it's an issue that's rooted from other means.
I see. So it was like in like a separate category of his own.
Yes, I feel like we should approach it from like how people have guns in the first place.
Oh, okay. So do you know about the Second Amendment?
Yes, I'm very aware.
All right. So you know how the Second Amendment grants the people the right to bear arms. How do you feel about
Yep.
this?
So I feel like the Second Amendment makes it a little bit too easy for people to get their hands on guns, and I feel like there should be stricter gun control laws to prevent like underage kids from having guns and forming gangs to do gang shootings.
Okay. Um, Many people say that's like the con of the Second Amendment that like many
Mhm.
people have like could get their hands easily on guns, but many also say that the pros outweigh the cons, such as like self defense and
Yeah,
how like cops don't really like protect like neighborhoods that are like dangerous around. That like
Yeah. So I would say, regardless of like whether it's a pro or con to the Second Amendment, I feel like we should prioritize in human life
Hmm.
and people's safety. So I feel like to have increased safety and to prevent people from dying due to guns, we should have laws to make it stricter for people to have their hands on guns.
I see. I'm gonna go off topic a little bit, but you
Hmm.
know how school shootings happens because the kids have kids have access to guns.
Yep.
Do you feel that like teachers and staff in the schools should have access to guns as well to protect them?
I feel like with more guns being into the hands of people, I feel
Yes,
like it's just increase the chance of accidental shootings or violent shootings. So I feel like it's not productive to have more guns. I feel like it should have less people with guns, but only people. So the only people that should have guns is people who are either trained or licensed, like people who are more likely to be more responsible with having a gun.
okay.
And what was the other part of the question?
Like, do you feel as though like teachers should have guns to counteract like school shootings?
Oh yeah. So to counteract school shootings, I feel like we should prioritize into the mental health of students because it does take a huge mental like strain to for a student to be like, oh, okay, I have no other means but to do gun school shooting. Maybe it's a way of getting their like taking revenge, or it's a way to get themselves known. But regardless, it's a mental. I think it's a mental thing to actually to address this. And maybe it could be as simple as like promoting counselor uses in school, or maybe it's about having um, teachers that can help support students who are suffering mentally.
I see. So, do you feel as though like we should have stricter gun control laws, or just like what you just said, like promote counselors and um, just make like the kids feel safe?
So my main argument would be like, yes, we should have stricter gun laws, but at the same time, we should have multiple solutions to this because one solution will never solve a big issue like gun control. So I feel like stricter gun laws, like tracking guns, and also maybe helping people with mental issues as well, would help. Have a better chance of relieving this gun control issue.
I see. I'm gonna move on. Have you or anyone that you know been affected by gun violence?
I think it was in ninth grade when I think a central student had was shot like accidentally while going to school. And it was outside Central around like 8:15, and the whole school got shut down. And I feel like that was the first time I really experienced like what gun violence could do to people at least my age.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was one of my experience.
Uh, Expanding from your answer, so
Mhm.
do you feel the neighborhood around Central is safe?
I don't think it's safe because they are. I would say it's due to like years of redlining and causing people into come causing the whole neighborhood to become like really poor, and this causes people to unfortunately do drugs and create a network of drugs. And with more increased usage of drugs, this comes with guns being allowed into the community, and this causes a huge network of just unsafe feeling, especially for residents and students that lives around the area.
I see. How do you get to Central? Like,
I take I mainly use public transportation, so I get to Central using the subway, and then I walk to Central by like 3, 4 blocks.
do you take the Broad Street line?
Yes, I take the Broad Street line.
Do you feel like the Broad Street line is safe? Like, do you
Well, I
like
in
do you
my
feel?
experience, it has been
Oh god.
safe for me, but I know that there's always people like I have the Citizen app which shows like nearby activities, and it's not uncommon to see students being beat up, or there's shootings nearby or stabbings nearby, and unfortunately recently we had a Central student coming home through the Broad Street line, um, getting like group beat up by other students, and I think that's just showing you like how unsafe it is for public transportation, especially near the area of Central, but also just all over Philadelphia.
Mm. Do you feel safe in school at Central?
I think Central inside of Central is safe, but I think just neighborhood I would say it's not safe because Central does have a lot of students who understands that Philadelphia as a whole is not safe, and I feel like they all collectively contribute to the environment of making Central as safe as possible, almost like a second home, because they also realize that not every home is a safe place, but it's if they would try if they could, they would try their best to make Central into a home for people who can't have a home.
I see. Um, well, that basically wraps it up. Thank you for your time
Yeah,
and have a
you're
nice
welcome.
day.
You too.